As we journey through life, there's an invisible force that quietly walks beside us, often unnoticed, and yet it is one of the most significant aspects of our existence. This force doesn't manifest itself in the form of sudden illnesses, accidents, or dramatic disruptions. Rather, it is the subtle, almost imperceptible habits we develop over time, habits that silently shape our lives, health, and ultimately our aging process. These habits are not always dramatic or easily seen. They often fade into the background, becoming so ingrained in our routine that we scarcely recognize their power. Time slips away, and so too do these small choices, decisions, and actions that accumulate, shaping the course of our lives without ever demanding our attention. It is in the quiet moments of life that we are most vulnerable to this danger. We live each day without reflecting on the small things that, over time, compound to either benefit or harm us. The choices we make, the way we live, and how we respond to the ebb and flow of life's changes, this is what shapes the way we age. Aging is not just a simple passage of time. It is the culmination of the choices we make along the way. The Buddhist teachings offer us a deep insight into this process, reminding us that everything arises from causes and conditions. It is not fate or destiny that dictates the course of our lives, but rather the interplay of the choices we make and the conditions we create. In the Buddhist teachings, we are reminded that life is impermanent and nothing in this world remains static. It is the very nature of existence that everything is subject to change, to rise and fall, to come into being and eventually pass away. However, the way we respond to this impermanence, how we embrace or resist change, can profoundly affect our experience of aging, health, and overall well-being. This is where mindfulness, intention, and awareness come into play. The Buddha spoke of the importance of understanding the causes and conditions that govern our lives. Our health, peace, and longevity are not fixed by some external force. They are shaped by our actions, our thoughts, and our responses to the world around us. Every choice we make, whether it's what we eat, how we treat others, or how we approach life's challenges, sets the stage for how we will age and the quality of our later years. If we live with intention, if we cultivate habits that nurture our mind and body, we can age gracefully and with peace. If, however, we allow our habits to slip into autopilot without mindful attention, the consequences may not be so gentle. In Buddhism, there is a deep recognition of the impermanence of all things, but also a profound wisdom in how we respond to this impermanence. The Buddha taught us that we must be mindful of the present moment and the choices we make now, for they will determine the future we experience. It is not enough to merely exist. We must live with purpose, awareness, and a deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Each moment, each choice, is a reflection of our intention, and those choices build upon one another, creating the life we will ultimately lead. This awareness is key in understanding the process of aging. As we grow older, we are not merely victims of time. Rather, we are active participants in the process of aging through the habits, thoughts, and actions we cultivate each day. The Buddha spoke of the middle way, a path of balance and moderation that is essential to navigating the challenges of life, including aging. If we lean too far into indulgence, neglecting our health, mind, and spirit, we may find ourselves facing physical or emotional hardships as we grow older. But if we live with balance, nurturing both our physical and spiritual well-being, we can age with grace, wisdom, and peace. In practical terms, the teachings of the Buddha remind us to cultivate habits that promote health and mindfulness. This might mean practicing meditation to calm the mind, engaging in physical activity to keep the body strong, and fostering compassion and kindness toward others to nourish the spirit. These practices, when repeated consistently over time, form the foundation of a healthy and peaceful life. They are the antidote to the subtle dangers of aging, which often arise from neglecting our mind and body in favor of convenience or distractions. Furthermore, the Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of accepting the reality of change. Aging is a natural process, and it is one that we cannot escape. However, how we respond to aging, the grace with which we face the changes in our body and mind, can make all the difference. The Buddha encourages us to cultivate wisdom, to view aging not with fear or resistance, but with acceptance and understanding. Aging is not something to dread, but an opportunity to deepen our wisdom and grow spiritually. Each wrinkle, each gray hair is a reflection of the experiences we have lived, the lessons we have learned, and the compassion we have cultivated. In Buddhism, there is no concept of getting older in the way that society often portrays it. Instead, aging is seen as a natural unfolding, a ripening of the fruit that is our life. Just as a fruit ripens with time, gaining flavor and depth, so too can we gain wisdom and understanding as we age. This shift in perspective is essential in embracing the aging process. Rather than viewing it as a decline, we can see it as a process of maturation, where we gain the richness of experience and wisdom that only time can provide. Ultimately, the key to a peaceful aging process is mindfulness. By being present in each moment, by acknowledging the impermanence of all things, we can live in harmony with the natural flow of life. We can cultivate habits that nourish the body and mind, creating a foundation for a healthy, peaceful, and fulfilling life. As the Buddha taught, everything arises from causes and conditions. Therefore, the conditions we create through our thoughts, actions, and habits today will shape the quality of our life tomorrow. So as we age, let us not fall prey to the quiet dangers of unnoticed habits. Let us choose wisely, live with intention, and embrace the impermanence of life with grace and acceptance. In doing so, we can not only navigate the aging process with ease, but also transform it into a powerful opportunity for spiritual growth, deepening wisdom, and profound peace. As we grow older, let us remember that aging is not something that happens to us. It is something we actively participate in through every choice we make and every action we take. Let us walk the path of mindfulness, creating a future that reflects the fullness of our present intentions. As we journey through life, we inevitably encounter the inevitable truth of aging. But what does aging really mean? In the traditional view, aging is often seen as a punishment, a slow and painful decline from the prime of life. However, within the teachings of Buddhism, aging is viewed through a radically different lens, one that invites us to understand it not as a punishment, but as a process of ripening, a natural unfolding of our existence. This perspective, when embraced, transforms the very way we experience growing older. Aging is a universal reality, one that touches everyone. Yet it is the way we respond to this inevitable passage of time that shapes our experience. In Buddhism, the Buddha teaches us that everything is impermanent, and that aging is not something to resist or fear, but rather a natural progression. We are taught that life itself is in a state of constant change. Just as a fruit ripens on a tree, so too do we evolve over time, developing deeper wisdom and greater understanding. But in our modern world, where youth is often idolized and the fear of aging is perpetuated by societal pressures, we find ourselves struggling against the natural flow of time. We live in a culture obsessed with appearances, with anti-aging products, and with the pursuit of eternal youth. In this environment, the process of aging is often seen as something to fight against, something to avoid. But Buddhism offers us an alternative perspective, one of acceptance and balance. The Buddhist teachings on the middle way provide a profound framework for approaching aging with wisdom and grace. The middle way is not about swinging between extremes, it is a path of balance, where we neither cling to the past nor give in to the fears of the future. It's about being fully present in the here and now, appreciating each moment as it unfolds, and embracing the aging process with open eyes and an open heart. The middle way teaches us that we should neither fight against the changes that come with age, nor succumb to them passively. We must approach aging with mindfulness, acknowledging the inevitable shifts in our bodies and minds, while also nurturing and cultivating the qualities that allow us to grow gracefully. In the middle way, we find a deep wisdom that guides us toward living a life full of purpose, presence, and awareness. It invites us to recognize that aging is not a loss, but rather a deepening of our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As we grow older, we are given the opportunity to shed the distractions and illusions of youth and to turn inward, discovering the peace that comes with acceptance. Aging allows us to cultivate a quiet wisdom that can only come through experience and reflection. We learn to let go of what no longer serves us and embrace the qualities of compassion, patience, and understanding that come with age. The longer we live, the more we realize that the beauty of life does not reside in the fleeting moments of youth, but in the richness of experience, the lessons learned, and the relationships built over time. The process of aging is an invitation to reflect on how we have lived, what we have learned, and what we wish to pass on to others. It challenges us to ask ourselves, have we lived in alignment with our deepest values? Have we cultivated the inner peace and strength necessary to face life's challenges with grace? Aging, when approached with the wisdom of the middle way, becomes an opportunity for growth and deepening of our spiritual practice. It is a time to embrace the impermanence of life and to celebrate the beauty of the changes that come with age. Rather than clinging to the past, we can learn to be fully present in each moment, appreciating the richness of life as it unfolds, with all its joys and challenges. The Buddhist teachings encourage us to cultivate habits that support both our physical and spiritual well-being as we age. These habits are not extreme or excessive, but instead are simple, mindful practices that nourish our bodies, minds, and spirits. It is through these practices, through meditation, mindful eating, physical movement, and the cultivation of loving kindness, that we can age in a way that is not just healthy but also meaningful. By living in harmony with our body and mind, we can preserve our health, cultivate clarity of thought, and develop a deep sense of inner peace. These practices, rooted in the principles of the middle way, allow us to embrace aging with grace, knowing that each year that passes brings with it new opportunities for learning and growth. In Buddhism, aging is also seen as a reminder of the preciousness of life. The Buddha taught that life is fleeting and that we must not take it for granted. Each moment is a gift. And as we age, we are reminded to cherish the time we have, to live with purpose, and to deepen our spiritual practice. Aging gives us the opportunity to reflect on the impermanence of all things and to cultivate a sense of gratitude for the present moment. When we recognize the transient nature of life, we are inspired to live more fully, to engage more deeply with the people we love, and to contribute to the world around us in meaningful ways. As we age, we can also become more attuned to the needs of others. With the wisdom that comes from life's experiences, we develop a greater capacity for empathy and compassion. The process of aging invites us to turn outward, to share our knowledge and experiences with others, and to support those who are younger or struggling with similar challenges. Through our actions, we can become a source of guidance and inspiration for those around us, helping them navigate the complexities of life and grow in wisdom as well. In conclusion, aging is not something to fear or resist, but something to embrace with open arms and a peaceful heart. The Buddhist teachings offer us a profound framework for aging gracefully through mindfulness, balance, and acceptance. By following the middle way, we can approach aging not as a decline, but as a process of ripening, a deepening of our wisdom and understanding. As we grow older, we have the opportunity to live more fully, to appreciate the beauty of life's impermanence, and to cultivate the qualities that bring true happiness and peace. Aging is not the end of something, but the beginning of a new chapter, one that invites us to live with purpose, presence, and love. It is through the wisdom of the middle way that we can age with dignity, grace, and joy. In the rush of daily life, especially as we grow older, one of the most overlooked and undervalued aspects of our well-being is the simple act of sleep. Often we are led to believe that rest is a luxury, something to be minimized, or even seen as laziness, especially as we reach our later years. However, in Buddhist teachings, sleep is not only far from laziness, but is, in fact, a sacred pause, a crucial practice for maintaining harmony within the body, mind, and spirit. In the world around us, there is a natural rhythm to life, a cycle of light and dark, of activity and stillness, of giving and receiving. The Buddhist teachings remind us that just as the breath must naturally exhale before it can inhale again, just as day follows night and night follows day, so too does our body require periods of rest. This rhythm is not a sign of weakness or inactivity, but rather a reflection of the natural order of things. To resist this need for rest is to go against the very nature of life itself. As we age, especially after the age of 60, many of us fall into the trap of thinking that productivity and constant activity are the markers of our worth. Society often reinforces this belief, teaching us that value is found in our ability to keep moving, to stay busy, to do. But the Buddha offers a different perspective, a wisdom that runs counter to our modern obsession with achievement and success. The Buddha teaches that rest is essential, not just for the body, but for the mind and heart as well. True wisdom and clarity come not from endless activity, but from balance, from knowing when to stop, to breathe, and to allow the body and mind to replenish. When we prioritize rest, we honor the natural processes of healing and restoration that are essential for maintaining our mental and physical health. To the Buddha, sleep is a form of right rest, a vital and sacred practice. It is not simply the closing of the eyes and the drifting off into unconsciousness. It is a period of deep, transformative restoration. In sleep, the body repairs itself, mending the wear and tear of the day, restoring energy and vitality. But it is also a time for the mind to process the experiences, thoughts, and emotions that accumulate throughout our waking hours. It is a time for our spirit to find stillness, to release the weight of the world, and to reconnect with a sense of inner peace. Just as we need to care for our physical bodies through nourishment and exercise, we must also care for our minds and hearts by honoring the need for rest. This is not merely about taking a break from the hustle of life, but about deepening our connection to ourselves and the world around us. Sleep offers us the opportunity to reflect, to restore, and to rejuvenate. It is in this quiet stillness that we find the clarity to see ourselves and our lives with greater perspective. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a practice of mindfulness, a way of being fully present in the moment, whether awake or asleep. This mindfulness does not end when we close our eyes at night. In fact, sleep itself can become a practice of mindfulness, a time to let go of distractions, to release the weight of our worries, and to allow ourselves to rest deeply and fully. When we approach sleep with mindfulness, we are allowing ourselves not only to rest, but to enter a state of peaceful awareness. It is in this peaceful awareness that healing and transformation take place. For many people over the age of 60, sleep can become a challenge. Stress, anxiety, and the physical changes that come with aging can disrupt our ability to rest well. But it is in these moments that the Buddha's teachings become even more relevant. We must learn to honor our bodies and minds, to give ourselves permission to rest without guilt or fear of being lazy. Rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of wisdom, of knowing when to pause and let go. The practice of letting go of the need to constantly do, to constantly be busy, is one of the most important steps we can take in the journey toward true peace. As we grow older, it becomes even more essential to listen to our bodies and acknowledge the signals they send us. The body knows when it needs rest, just as it knows when it is hungry or thirsty. To deny these signals is to ignore the wisdom of the body and, in turn, the wisdom of the universe. By allowing ourselves the gift of sleep, we are aligning ourselves with the natural rhythm of life, respecting the body's need for stillness, and embracing the balance that the Buddha so often speaks of. In fact, sleep is a practice of self-compassion. It is an opportunity to honor our limitations and embrace the vulnerability of being human. In a world that demands constant action and productivity, sleep offers a sacred pause, a time to restore, to recharge, and to come back to our true selves. It is a time to let go of the outside world, to free ourselves from the worries, the stress, and the demands of life, and to surrender to the natural process of renewal. So, as we age, let us remember the Buddha's teachings on rest. Let us honor sleep as an essential part of our journey. Let us not see it as a luxury or indulgence, but as a necessary practice for our well-being. Let us allow ourselves the freedom to rest, knowing that in doing so, we are not only restoring our bodies, but also our minds and hearts. Sleep is not just a break from life. It is a vital practice that allows us to live with greater clarity, peace, and purpose. In embracing sleep, we embrace life itself. We honor the rhythms of nature, and in doing so, we open ourselves to the full richness of the present moment. Sleep is not the end of the day, but a continuation of the cycle of life, one that brings us back to ourselves time and time again. Through the act of resting, we renew our connection to the world around us and to the deeper wisdom that lies within. As we journey through life, there is a quiet yet powerful force that diminishes our vitality and peace of mind: chronic, low-grade stress. This force, subtle as it may seem, weaves itself into the fabric of our daily existence. It's not the dramatic moments of crisis, but the slow, steady hum of anxiety that keeps us on edge. the lingering sense of dissatisfaction that follows us like a shadow. In Buddhist teachings, we encounter the concept of dukkha, a term often translated as suffering or dissatisfaction. However, dukkha is not limited to intense, outwardly painful experiences. It also encompasses the quieter, more insidious forms of discontent that linger beneath the surface. It is this low-grade dissatisfaction that saps our energy, leaves us feeling disconnected, and gradually diminishes our zest for life. The Buddha, in his profound wisdom, acknowledged that suffering is an intrinsic part of the human condition. Yet, rather than focusing solely on the external world and its tumultuous nature, he pointed us toward the internal landscape, the mind, and our relationship with it. In every moment, we are subjected to mental noise. This noise is the constant hum of worries, unfinished tasks, and unspoken grief. These thoughts are like an incessant background hum, slowly eating away at our inner peace. This persistent, low-level stress often manifests in physical symptoms: tightness in the body, shallow breathing, digestive issues, and an overall sense of being ungrounded. But here's the key insight the Buddha offered. Stress, suffering, and dissatisfaction are not external enemies that we must fight and conquer. The path to true liberation does not lie in controlling the world around us or in endlessly chasing external solutions. Instead, the Buddha taught us that the path to freedom comes through changing our relationship to these forces. We do not need to eliminate stress from our lives, but rather we need to shift our perception of it. This is where the transformative practice of mindfulness comes into play. Mindfulness, at its core, is the practice of observing our thoughts, emotions, and experiences without judgment or attachment. It is the art of cultivating a deep, conscious awareness of the present moment. Through mindfulness, we learn to see the stress we experience as just that: stress. We observe it without letting it overwhelm us, without identifying with it, and without allowing it to dictate our actions or thoughts. By simply being aware of it, we begin to loosen the grip it has on us. Imagine for a moment the act of breathing. Often we breathe shallowly, quick, hurried breaths, as if there's always a rush, always something to do, something to fix. But mindfulness teaches us to breathe deeply, to slow down, and to return to the present moment. When we take a deep breath, we reconnect with the peace that resides beneath the mental clutter. This is not just about relaxation. It is about cultivating the ability to step back from the noise and enter into a space of calm awareness. Through mindful breathing, we begin to soften, release, and return to the here and now. In our daily lives, we encounter a multitude of stressors, some external, some internal. External stressors might include work, relationships, or financial worries. Internal stressors often come from within: our judgments of ourselves, our fears of the future, our attachments to outcomes, and our regrets about the past. The Buddhist teaching is clear. We cannot change the world to eliminate these stressors. The only thing we can change is our relationship to them. By embracing mindfulness, we become the observer, not the victim of our stress. We learn to create space between ourselves and our reactions, allowing us to respond with awareness rather than react impulsively. The Buddha also taught the practice of loving kindness and compassion as essential tools for dissolving stress. When we are caught in a cycle of stress, it is easy to become critical of ourselves, to judge ourselves harshly for feeling overwhelmed, or to judge others for their part in our discomfort. Compassion breaks this cycle. Compassion allows us to be gentle with ourselves, to acknowledge our stress without condemning ourselves for having it. When we offer compassion to ourselves, we begin to release the tight grip of stress. Instead of fighting against it, we acknowledge its presence with kindness and understanding, knowing that it is a part of our shared human experience. In a world that constantly demands more of us, it is easy to forget that peace and contentment do not come from external achievements or possessions. The more we accumulate in the outside world, the more we are bound by attachment. True peace, according to the Buddha, is found when we let go of our attachment to outcomes, to success, and to the ever-elusive pursuit of perfection. It is only through letting go that we can find true freedom. When we stop clinging to the past, when we stop worrying about the future, And when we learn to rest in the present moment, we begin to find the peace we have been searching for all along. The practice of mindfulness is not a quick fix. It is a lifelong journey, one that requires patience, dedication, and a willingness to confront our own discomfort. Yet it is the most profound and transformative path available to us. Through mindfulness, we begin to see the impermanent nature of all things, the fleeting nature of stress, of our thoughts, of our emotions. We come to realize that nothing lasts forever, not even the stress that seems so overwhelming in the moment. By acknowledging stress, by sitting with it, and by practicing mindfulness, we begin to dissolve the weight that holds us back. And as we let go of this weight, we open ourselves up to the possibility of true liberation. Liberation is not an escape from stress or suffering, but a shift in perspective. It is the freedom to live with greater awareness, greater compassion, and a deeper connection to the present moment. As we age, we may find that our bodies are more fragile, our energy less abundant, but the peace we cultivate through mindfulness and compassion allows us to age with grace and wisdom. The Buddhist teachings remind us that our true nature is not one of suffering. Beneath the layers of stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction lies the truth of our being, peaceful, loving, and free. It is through the practices of mindfulness, compassion, and non-attachment that we can uncover this truth and experience the profound peace that resides within each of us. In conclusion, while stress is an inevitable part of life, it is our relationship to stress that determines our experience of it. By practicing mindfulness, by embracing the present moment, and by cultivating compassion, we can transform our experience of stress from something that diminishes our vitality to something that becomes a catalyst for growth and self-awareness. The Buddhist path offers us the tools we need to navigate the complexities of life with grace and peace. It is a path that invites us to release what no longer serves us, to soften our hearts, and to return to the peace that is always available within us. In this way, we can experience a deeper, more fulfilling existence, one that is grounded in the present moment and free from the weight of unnecessary stress. As we journey through the later stages of life, there is a challenge that many of us face: the creeping, often unnoticed onset of social isolation. This insidious force can quietly take hold of us, eroding not just our physical well-being, but our emotional and spiritual health as well. It is a silent thief that steals our joy, leaving us to face the world in solitude. But in the teachings of the Buddha, we find a profound reminder. We are not meant to live in isolation. We are beings who are deeply interconnected with one another, woven together by the threads of compassion, shared experience, and mutual care. Just as a single flower cannot bloom without the nourishing elements of soil, water, and sunlight, we too need others in our lives to truly thrive, not merely to survive, but to truly experience life in its fullest, most vibrant form. The Buddha teaches us that our existence is not one of separateness, but of profound interdependence. The idea of Sangha, or community, is central to Buddhist practice. Sangha is the community of like-minded individuals who come together to support, nurture, and help each other along the path. It is through the Sangha that we find the collective wisdom, encouragement, and love that sustain us. It is here that we come together to heal, to grow, and to be reminded that we are never truly alone. Even when life's challenges seem insurmountable, the Sangha provides us with the strength and the shared experience to navigate the storm. In times of isolation, when the weight of the silence feels too heavy, it can be easy to believe that we are completely alone. The world may seem vast and our struggles may appear too personal to share. But the Buddha reminds us that we are never as isolated as we think. Isolation, in fact, is a mental construct, a product of our own minds. It is in these moments of loneliness that we are called to return to our true nature, the nature of interconnection, compassion, and shared human experience. We are not islands cut off from the world. We are rivers flowing into one another, ever connected, ever growing. The Buddha's teachings on mindfulness and compassion invite us to examine the ways in which we separate ourselves from others. How often do we retreat into ourselves, thinking that we must carry the weight of the world alone? How often do we believe that our pain, our grief, or our confusion is something we must face by ourselves? The Buddha shows us that by closing ourselves off, we only intensify the suffering we experience. The simple act of reaching out, of connecting with others, has the power to ease our burdens and transform our suffering into healing. It is in the act of sharing, of expressing our vulnerability, that we find the strength to move through difficult times. When we isolate ourselves, we cut off not just our connection to others, but to our own sense of peace and joy. We deprive ourselves of the warmth, the touch, and the shared moments that nourish our souls. Human connection is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. The simple act of spending time with others, of listening to their stories, and of sharing our own is a source of healing and joy. We do not exist in a vacuum. We exist in a web of relationships, each thread contributing to the greater whole. And when one thread is pulled away, the entire web is affected. Buddhism teaches that true healing comes not from isolation, but from community. It is through community that we find the strength to face life's challenges, to heal from wounds, and to grow in wisdom and compassion. The Buddha's vision of community is not one of mere proximity, but of genuine connection. It is about being present with one another, sharing our hearts, and offering support in times of need. When we are part of a sangha, we are not just a member of a group, we are an active participant in the collective well-being of all.